I can't do it. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reggie Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother Wildman Teddy T, aka Baron Theo Mound-builder.
Yes, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are here.
Yeah, man, we got to get right into it, man. When y'all see this brother over here, y'all always know what time it is, man. It is time for that Black Film Festival by producer, attorney, commissioner, player, Brother Marvin Arrington, man. Welcome to Ask Mathis.
Hey, Reg, always good to see you, brother. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. You know, we represent the ATL. I am ATL.
Amen.
Down here for the Black Film Festival, you know, and, you know, you always got to come see the king, Mr. Entertainment, attorney extraordinaire, Reggie Mathis. And we got the music and film licensing panel on Saturday. So we're real excited about that.
Indeed.
And, yeah, hopefully you get to join us, man.
Hey, bruh. Definitely, man. And it's always great to be seen and not viewed, right?
Amen.
Hey, so definitely, man. We were just talking with Brother Lenny Moore over here, man, Mr. Strip Club King, you know, earlier about where is the money in the music game. So, you know, as we were waiting to get ready to get on the show, we were just kind of talking about, you know, some of the means and mechanisms that's going on right now. Because I was like, man, 1 billion streams, man, only really converts to like, you know, about 32 grand, you know, really when it's seen, you know, just because music is so accessible now. So, you know, between touring and other things like synchronization, sync rights, you know, music licensing. So anyone that's been watching the NBA playoffs, you know, y'all see, you know, we getting some checks.
Getting that check from those stadiums and those arenas.
We getting a couple checks. Anybody watching the new Kardashian show that's coming, we getting some checks. You know, and that's what it is, man. You want to go out and find new avenues. It's just new opportunity, man. It's, you know, this new opportunity. So this weekend, Brother Arrington is going to be here. You bringing the whole crew with you?
I got the whole firm in town. I got
man.
Vince Phillips.
Man,
From the Black
y'all
Market
coming high power.
Entertainment,
Y'all coming high power.
Ariel.
Can y'all say some of the folks y'all representing now? You gotta keep it.
We represent Lil Baby. We represent Sexy Red. Kevin Gates, Scrappy. You know, and we do a little work for people here and there. DC Young Fly, he's in town doing a comedy show.
Yeah, Lil Baby was here the day before yesterday. Yeah, was here the day before yesterday.
So you know, we staying busy. You know,
that's
we
what it is,
dot the I's and cross the T's. We learn from the best, Reggie. We learn from you, brother.
Listen. These brothers right here, man. You know, I go back 30 years, man.
Yeah.
30 years. So one of our homies, I guess, you know, one of our homies, when he graduated from law school, man, we went to University of Miami together for law school. And I remember Buddy was like, man, I'm going back to, my daddy got parking lots for the Atlanta Olympics. We laughing at him, bro. We like, man, I'm working for a federal judge. So I got another gig where I'm clerking at a firm, bro. I'm clocking. But he like, nah, man, I'll be doing these parking lots, right? As we laughing at him right now, guess what he's doing right now? Now he the chief judge, you know, in Fulton County.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the chief judge, and I met Marvin. That's right. Met Marvin at Chris and Mika's wedding, and these brothers were so impressive, man. You know, give them their flowers, because when I went there, like in the wedding party, you're talking about the generation, the post Dr. King generation, where you're talking about, you know, Kwame Abernathy, the son of Ralph David Abernathy, and you know, you're just talking about the progeny of these civil rights icons that are pushing forward. And we're talking about Marvin. You talked about his dad last year when he came on. He was talking about Bowlegs and the late great Marvin Arrington. He had not passed at that time, but his dad, being one of the first to integrate Emory's law school, and just seeing like how these brothers are actually living the legacy, like living legacy. So to have seen these brothers and how they move, you can't help but be inspired and to come back and try to get it. Cause I'm like, I'm working for this dude, I'm working for that judge, I'm doing this other stuff, buddy. Like I'm doing these parking lots. And I'm like, parking lots. But it was like, no, Atlanta is the place where, it replaced DC.
Oh yeah.
As the Black Mecca, it's replaced DC, man. Like it still has its issues, I'm sure you would say.
Yes.
But
yeah, no. Shout out to Judge Ward. Atlanta definitely is, doing great things. Our latest slogan, Atlanta influences everything, right? And so, there's a lot of great stuff going on. But that Olympics was a great time, man. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity to make some money. But we just grinding, Reg. We just trying to do the best we can every day to represent ourselves, our families, and keep the legacy going.
Amen. Shout out to that, man. So, Atlanta Black Film Festival this year is what year for?
So, American Black Film Festival started in '97. So this, I believe, is the 28th. So in 2 years they'll be doing the 30th anniversary. It started out in Acapulco. When I first went, it was in Acapulco, like 98, 99. And then now it has, it's been in Miami now for the past 20 plus years.
Is Jeff Clenningham still involved?
Jeff Friday, yes. Jeff Friday and his wife, Nicole. They do, They host it. They were in New York, now they're in LA. And, it has really grown, man, because when we used to come down, everything was at the Lowe's Hotel. Now everything's at the convention center and everybody's at 20, 30 different hotels. So it has really expanded, up and beyond, man. And they do a great job, and just glad to, know them and be here to take part of the networking, man. Not only do you learn the different skills and best practices from the panels, but the networking and meeting the other filmmakers, meeting the other actors and actresses and filmmakers. And you're like this, Reg. I tell my music clients, come down to the film festival and be the only artist. Be the only artist and meet 20, 30 filmmakers, and you can get your music maybe in 20, 30 films, right? Because you're the only music person there, right?
That was a great idea.
Exactly.
I just told my man, we're going to a screening after we leave here. And I told
Which
him,
one?
Rich Black, he got the movie with Sophia and all them except Little Haiti, Culture Center.
Yeah, because our homie Keone McGee, they're displaying premiering his movie, Florida Film House.
Yeah,
Florida Film House, and shout out to Keone, man. Anyone not knowing his story, I've had cases against him. When Keone was when he was a young prosecutor, and I come into defending the case and whatnot, and getting to know Keone over the years, like, being a hard-nosed but compassionate prosecutor, to finding out that they gave up on Buddy. Like, he was labeled retarded, like not autistic. Like, he was, everything you can label somebody. He was basically, a prison cell was already waiting for him, bro. Like, already down payment, ready for him to go, and to go from written off to college graduate with just to get out of school, then go to college, then go to law school, pass all the tests, be diagnosed with what it was. I think he was dyslexic and some other things that just and this beautiful story, bro. So that is being premiered. So what brings you here other than the panels? You got any movies? Last year you hit them with Bowlegs. But
Bowlegs 2023. Last year I had A Time to Yell, which was the story of the Charlottesville race riots of 2017. And then this year we're just doing the panel, but I'm also promoting the release of one of the songs from the Bowleg soundtrack, Old Atlanta. Reg, we went and did it, man. For the 50 years of hip hop, I went and got 50 Atlanta artists, and I got a
Ooh.
I got a remix with 50 Atlanta artists, Old Atlanta, the mega mix, and then I got it broken down into like 10 or 12 different singles with four artists. So we got MC Shadi,
Oh
we
wow.
got Raheem the Dream,
Wow, that's going back.
Young Dro, Pastor Troy,
Mm.
Player Poncho, Timo Goody. So man, it's really something special, man. Real thankful.
You got Kilo on there?
We got Backbone. We're working on Kilo. We're working on the verse. We got one version now with Sammy Sam, Cool Ace, Quavo Gold, and Kilo Ali, man. So we yes.
We got Uncle Head too, cause Black Pack.
Yeah.
There we go, man.
We
There
got
we go.
we'll take them all, man. It's a movement, man. Everybody was just so helpful because the documentary was about my dad. It's not really, we're not doing this to make money. It's really just about continuing his legacy. Movie Bowlegs is streaming everywhere on all platforms, and you can also stream the Old Atlanta song on all platforms. We just released the 404 remix with Cool Breeze, Young Dro, Baby D, and Pastor Troy. And then tomorrow, we're dropping the 85 remix with Mojo. Mojo was the first Atlanta rapper from like 82. So Mojo, Fabo, Black on C-Bone.
You bragging now.
And
Stop.
Don T. Trillville.
Stop. We got a show to do. All right, you get a Kappas an inch, boy. I tell you, they going. And but no, we so proud of you, brother, for what y'all doing, man. And for those of you, it's like, man, I heard of Bowlegs before, other than from the Ask Mathis show. Many of you guys, if you were flying on Delta Airlines, shout out to Arrington and Phillips for getting that movie played, on those flights. Again, Brother Moore, I was telling you how, where you make money. You got to make money in different avenues because, the consumption of the music in and of itself, by itself, not so much. But, licensing, and those sync rights, man. So,
And really, Reg, to that point, what really needs to happen, the musicians and the artists need to kind of do what the actors did. It's more difficult, but like the subscription money is where they're making their money, and the artists aren't getting any piece or any percentage of that. And so somehow the music industry's got to come in and say, hey, the artists need 30 to 70% of that subscription money. And that's the only thing that could level the playing fields now.
Yeah, you're going to have to get Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like how when Apple Music, launched their platform, it was like, hey, we putting all this stuff out. She's like, not my stuff. She's like, y'all ain't putting my stuff out. And one person came in there and was like, boom, changed the whole game. It was like, y'all got to get paid. So shout out to Taylor Swift, who just reacquired her original music back, man, after her management team, came in and took it right from under her. But shout out to that, man. I'm going to give y'all a quick break. This is the Ask Mathis show on Strong Arm Radio. And we got to get into some stories, man. So feel free to chime in. Because, Step, I got some stuff for you, man. I know you think you're hiding over there, son. But you're not hiding, Mr. Military Guy. Mr. Military Guy. I'm seeing a lot of black and brown people out there holding them lines out in L.A. Could that be you, sir, if it comes to Florida? Could that be you?
No, I'm reserved. That's National Guard.
Well, they activating Marines.
National
and I'm
Guard.
saying they could. The National Guard is out there now, but it's 700 Marines that have been told us that they're staging.
Marines are National Guard also.
Apart from the National Guard, sir.
Really?
Let's get out of that. So the National Guard typically is, the commander-in-chief is typically the governor of that state.
Correct.
And those are folks that are there specifically for protection of that state. But the federal government under Title 10 can come in and circumvent and say, I'm the captain now. Right?
True.
That's what our man, Taco is done.
That's what he did.
Taco came in and said, "I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now."
Isn't this a family spat, or is that his brother-in-law?
Gavin Newsom?
Yeah, he's married to his sister or something.
Well, they definitely got some problems going on where somebody done walked in and saw somebody like, hold on, we agreed to do this, but I never heard that sound before. What you done did to her? You know, and shoved a lot.
Watch it.
Let's rewind that, man. But you know, they were showing a lot of stuff that I sent to you, Steph, where you saw New York Knicks just going to the Eastern Conference Finals, lit a couple of cars on fire, you know, broke a couple windows. No one asked for National Guard to come out. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl, same thing. Nobody asked them folks to come out. So what is it about Cali that makes you come out? The 10th Amendment, you know, for you constitutional scholars out there, you know, the reservation clause, where it simply says that any right not expressly given to the federal government is reserved
For the states.
for the states. For the states. So you're not supposed to like come into the state if they don't ask for it. If they don't ask for it. Right? And they're specifically saying like, we don't want y'all here because you guys like come in with a big target. A big target. And I think this is what your man wants. I think this is what Taco wants.
Yeah.
Taco wants to what did he call it in his first inauguration?
Gonna be a dictator.
In the first
day
one, he
one.
called it. What did he say? Not mayhem. It was another word that he said. It was like gonna be. And I think that's what he wants. I think he wants these images to go out there, especially to hide, you know, what's really going on.
Especially in California.
Yeah.
It's a blue state.
And the local
All the blue
officials,
states, the ones got the chaos.
the local officials know better how to deal with the local people. It was like in New York. Well, they said in New York they just let them march. They said they let them march until they get tired. They don't mess
Right.
with them and just let them march. And so I think the California officials could do a better job of, governing the California people than Taco sending in, all the feds.
Yeah,
from
he's sending
around
them
the
in just to show that he can. The same way our governor, came in and school boards used to be nonpartisan, right? Now everything is partisan. Everything. Right? Even taking fluoride out of our water down here, it's like, come on, bro, 25%, you're talking about tooth decay by having the fluoride reduced by 25% by simply having the fluoride in there. They say all of a sudden folks is dying on the fluoride hill. Like, no fluoride. Like, man, bro, spell fluoride. Right? But now all of a sudden it's like, fluoride. I know you can't put no fluoride in. I'm like, all right, bro. Like we don't even know what's in the stuff. Just like when it was time to take the vaccine. Like all of a sudden now, you go to McDonald's, you go to KFC, Taco Bell, you don't know what's in that food, right? But all of a sudden, nah, man, they ain't putting that in me. They ain't putting that in me. Now we got measles rolling up, which it been gone, man. So I don't really know what we doing, man.
Gavin Newsom's wife was married to Donald Trump's son.
They divorced now?
They divorced now.
So he took her.
Yes.
Oh wow. That's a whole different type of that's a whole
And they got
different
kids that he's raising.
bro, that's a whole different type of move. That's a whole different type of move.
But back to my man's statement, I got to contest that when he says that the locals, as a default, are able to govern themselves better to handle those situations. I can't agree with that on all cases. What was that, Minnesota?
Yes.
that they just burnt the whole city down?
They didn't burn the whole city down. Minnesota, they burnt a building.
Yeah,
They wreaked some havoc.
that wasn't on the news reports
But
that I
ain't no
saw.
exactly. That's the thing. You watching what you want to watch. You watching what you want to. Yeah, exactly. You watching what you want to watch, bro.
I watch everything.
Bro, you watch some shows
I watch
right now,
everything.
but they'll tell you that LA ain't even working.
Right.
And all this stuff is going on at the same time the BT Awards is going on.
They was about to.
Bruh, but I'm saying it's going on at the same time. That lets you know we do business with LA every day. I'm on the phone like, hey man, what's going on over there? Guys tell me, well, no, I live closer to Santa Monica and like downtown over by the Staples Center. You just know not to, go over there. That's where it's going down. And you go there, it's like going to Disney World. It's a destination spot. Just like they're saying this Saturday, it's a protest here. They're like, hey, they going here. Don't go to Brickell Saturday at this time if you don't want to get caught up in the mix. That's protest. This country is supposedly built on protest. What's the Boston Tea Party? What is the Boston Tea Party? It's a protest.
But isn't it now these guys are paying for these extra people to come in to throw rocks?
There's a whole industry. There's a whole industry for that.
Right.
And so folks know that now. So that's factored in when you got, folks provocateurs. You got folks that's coming in. That's what their, role is. Remember here after George Floyd, man, you have folks in a peaceful protest. They got the hoods on or whatever. Now they want to bust windows. They're like, hold on, man, y'all don't even live here. Like y'all got to get up out of here.
That's what I was gonna say. He said Minnesota where they burned the city. I was gonna say Minnesota where they murdered George Floyd and had his knee on his neck. Like it's all about how that story is told, right? Because if you can focus on the fires and whatever the protests that happened after that, but that was the effect of the cause was kneeling on the man's neck for 9 minutes. They needed to burn some stuff down after that.
And was it more severe on January 6th at the Capitol than it is in LA? Is it the same? Is it the same? Is it different? Or what we say about January 6th? Is it the same, not the same, different? What we say?
As far as January 6th?
Yeah, as far as like what we see going on. They're like, supposedly they called in the National Guard and staging the Marines because law enforcement being spit on.
You think more destruction happened in January 6th than under January?
Yeah, officers got killed. Officers got
that's
killed.
what I'm saying.
Officers were attacked and murdered.
I'm asking
January
you,
6th.
like I would say, condemn it all. I would say condemn it all. Be consistent. You come out there and say, look, man, we're not going for this. Like right now, we're in this period right now where the big beautiful bill is pending, right? When you're talking about adding $7 trillion to a $34 trillion debt, right? So you're talking about that. You're talking about cutting Medicare, Medicaid. You're talking about, eliminating a lot of the programs that are going to lead directly to, you think we having issues right now. We about to become the road warriors. Like, for real. Like, folks gonna be rolling around, like, jacking people for gas and jacking people just to get down the street. That's where we're headed. So I think this is a huge distraction that is being played because, Ukraine was supposed to be settled in 24 hours. Israel and Gaza, very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Very quickly. And we're witnessing a straight up genocide. Yes. A straight up genocide, bro. Like, for real. Like, they are... Buddy can't even hold himself. He can't even keep it to himself. He already showing the renderings for the Trump Gaza thing or whatever. We got to get rid of, we got to get rid of all these dudes. We got to get rid of all these folks. We're going to starve them and then say, okay, we're going to let the food come in. And then when the food come in, the folks come get the food, we're going to shoot them, bro. I haven't seen that since.
They're fighting over the food because they're
killing each other trying to get the
I haven't seen that since. That's what England did in India during the time of Mahatma Gandhi, where you sitting there with folks out there, no weapons, and just open fire on just thousands of people that's peacefully protesting
And hungry.
and hungry. And we're watching this in real time, and folks just looking at it like a video game. Like, it ain't us, right? Which brings you to my favorite point, to my Latinos for Trump. Vote for Donald Trump. Vote for Donald Trump. And they been
Trash.
thrashed.
I mean, that's the problem with ICE in California. Like, they're coming into schools, they're disrupting everything to pull these people out. And these people are too connected, you know, for that just to be happening. So, you know, that's the whole situation. I'm like, I'm surprised it isn't like that here to a
The
degree.
hypocrisy, the hypocrisy is just too much. Christy Nome, who's now over Homeland Security, she got all the outfits, right? And she's one of my, secret crushes, right? I just keep it 1,000.
Put it out.
You know what I mean? I just put it this 1,000. You know,
Just
she's
one.
Sarah Palin 2.0, right? And she's out there with all the nice little uniforms. She got the commercials coming in where she's trying to convince people. It reminds me of when the police sent folks with warrants tickets to the Super Bowl or to some game thinking like they about to go to the Super
pick up a
Bowl.
gift or come
And
pick
they
up
all-
a prize on TV.
Right, and they all come there, they all get arrested, right? Christy Knowles is coming on the air. You know, first she put the worst people out there. This guy, rapist, murderer, whatever, in here illegally, Y'all take this $1,000 and go back, and we gonna let y'all come back.
Yeah,
You
right.
take the 1,000 and come back, but if we catch you, you're never coming back. You're never coming back. You're like, wow, man. If you one of those guys, if you working, in the kitchen, you washing dishes right now, you're like, man, I could use the $1,000. Let me take this 1,000 and go back and then reapply to come back, right? But it seems that when Joe Biden was in office and the threat of sending in National Guard in South Dakota, she said that would be a specific violation of Title 10 to come in and do that. But yesterday, it's not. And that's the thing, bro, that it's just like,
No consistency.
it's your team against my team, right? And the problem is most people are independent. I'm a registered Republican, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a MAGA guy. I'm not a MAGA guy at all. I'm a whatever. But it seems like we gotta pick teams, and I think the black and brown squad, you know what I mean, is unfortunately the black and brown squad, should trump the Trump squad, sir. So you might be getting a little bread right now, but once they finish with these people, who you think is next?
Yeah, no, that's the real point right there. What's that thing that came for them?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say
say
nothing.
anything.
And it came for them.
And-
And so, they're coming for the Latinos. We were just talking about this yesterday. We got to stand up for them going for the Latinos because if, after they go for the Latinos, they're coming for us next, right?
And they still voted for Biden 65%. It was just that the margins, like Trump supposedly hit them up on the margins. Black men in particular, Hispanics and young people, on the margins, because it's pretty much a 50-50 country when it comes to voting because of the way with the electoral college. You have the flyover country that people don't think about, but those are just automatic red votes. Like you're not going to get a blue coming out of Montana, South Dakota. It's already banked.
So let me show you one of the reports I saw, where it says the property damage estimated $500 million in damage under the George Floyd protest. That's what I was saying. One of the reports. Now, are you saying January 6th is anything close to the property damage of $500 million?
No,
Well, the lives
The
of the
lives,
officers
the
that
lives, the
died.
lives,
I
the
mean,
lives.
January 6th was even worse because January 6th was an attempt to
To overthrow the government.
overthrow the government, to stop the vote from going forward, and to stop the nomination of Joe Biden, or the installation of Joe Biden. And
That's a
so
coup.
it was an attempted coup.
False electors, everybody.
Yeah,
That,
bro,
all
look.
but this thing was planned. It wasn't nothing that just started up and went up in March. No, this thing was long drawn out weeks and months before. So therefore, this was a
It was an attack on the government, on our structure. So the property damage may have been more in George Floyd, but it was an attack on our government,
Psyche,
on
man.
our
Look at the
democracy.
psyche, and right now, bro, to the children who are watching it, like, what can you even say to them? There's no more right or wrong anymore. It's what they see, and they're like, you used to be able to say, "Hey, man, don't believe," and I'm gonna be 1,000. I think, I think the presidents have always been a problem people. But I think Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal, I think put American politics on a different trajectory. When this man gave a press conference and said, "I did not have sex with that woman," Miss Lewinsky, look the camera right in, because I know I was sitting there watching it and was like, "Yeah, I believe you. I believe you." And then to come to find out he did, I use that in jury selection. I use that in jury selection right now when you start talking about the credibility of witnesses. When I know I have a fact issue that's coming up where there's no video, there's no whatever, it's going to boil down to what somebody says. And it's just like, hey, for somebody you're just meeting, how do you know how they normally talk, how they normally sound? They're like, well, you look at cues. Well, if a person is trained or has been rehearsing to come in here and to stand a certain way, and then I always fall back with that example. I said, how many of you remember watching Bill Clinton in the Oval Office look everybody in the eyes and say, "I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky"? Like, I don't even know her name. Like, I got to look and see her name. Man, you done put it in her mouth. You know her name.
and you got that dribble on the dress.
You know her name. So folks are just straight up. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. And I think Trump, being the guy who he was, like you say, the first N-word president, right? Who, like, when you start talking about the rise of Uptown Records, Bad Boy Records, and a lot of the stuff going on, who was the first so-called billionaire that opened the door for our pioneers in hip hop? The Russell Simmons, the Mike Tysons, all those folks. Who gave them a place to come and be whatever? It was your boy.
Because
He was in over 300 R&B and hip hop records before he even ran. I got a record with him that we did in 2007. Rick Ross and J Money. Where Rick Ross said, "Own restaurants like Donald Trump," blah blah blah. Folks, Rakim and Eric B. and Rakim, they have him. And he wasn't looked at negatively. He was looked at like, "Yo, this is who you want to aspire." Like, "Hey, this dude right here, cool guy." He always got nice women around doing the stuff. He partying. He doing all the other stuff.
Did you see on The View, they had some guy that was on The View the other day, and they was talking about how Donald Trump pardoned the rappers, you know what I'm saying? And the one thing I want to say, another thing, to me, Trump, he has a fascination with celebrities, black celebrities and black educated people.
What did he say, Teddy? He said, "If I could be reincarnated, I would be reincarnated as a well-educated black man."
And then another thing is, I think besides Andrew Jackson and maybe Nixon, Trump is the only one that is really showing what sovereignty is. as being
Oh yeah,
president.
he's taking
He's-
this thing to
he's taking
the
it.
he is testing the guardrails of this system, because this system is not natural. We go back to, Akiba land, Africa, Egypt, Kemet, whatever. Wasn't no democracy. Everybody ain't had no say so. the Roman Empire. Everybody ain't had no say so in what was going on. So to the whole thing about the U.S. and it's supposedly working, even though if you talk to the people, they'll always tell you that capitalism is always based on slave labor. But you can remove slave labor and just say, because slave labor is not free. So you gotta just low wage.
Right.
You had to clothe them. You had to feed them. You had to have doctors. You had, for us or whatever. You ain't giving the most, but you can't just leave them outside in the snow. Like you gotta whatever. So there's always costs. So you gotta have low costs. So I think Trump, as a businessman, or at least the people that he listens to, they're saying because why does he really care? He's hitting 80, right? As he's approaching 80, why does he really care about what's going to happen 10, 20 years from now? You think he really cares, as selfish as this man is?
As long as the name is out.
Right, he's doing whatever he's...
Yeah, it's all ego.
Yeah,
for him. It's all ego for him.
As long as his legacy's still out there, that's what.
Yeah, it's all ego.
Well, he can do whatever he wants to do. He ain't got nothing to lose. He's not going
Right,
to be able to
that's what
run
I'm saying.
again.
Right.
So he's just going to pad his pockets. And then if we got a majority Senate or majority Congress, that's going to be tied up so long he's going to die before you can be able to convict him of anything.
He doing the Rick
They're
Ross.
already convicted 34 times.
He don't care about that.
Bruh, he don't care. Now Canada's talking about not letting him in for the G7 summit. Now, if you've been to Canada lately, you know that Canada is one of the hardest nations. It used to be the easiest nation to get into. Now it's one of the hardest nations. I've gone up there with folks with misdemeanor probation and have been denied or having to wait in there for a while until you come up with that paper, right, and do it. So they coming out just saying, we don't even want Buddy in the country. He's threatening our sovereignty. He's a felon. He all this other stuff right there, which would be very interesting, to see how this plays out.
Because if they stop you and your clients and they let him in, why let him in if they won't let it? I had people with even TPOs, not even conviction, just a temporary protective order that couldn't get into Canada. But if they let him in, then frankly, then they need to let everybody else in.
And he feels like y'all client NBA YoungBoy, who he pardoned, right? So you pardon NBA YoungBoy, you manipulate and get R. Kelly out, it's a wrap.
And Puffy sitting there waiting to get his part.
Right. Now,
Puffy got on video.
But see, 50 is trolling him.
50's doing it bad.
And you can play this. 50 is trolling your boy so bad, right? 50 trolling him so bad because Puffy was hitting his baby mama, which lets you know this thing go all the way back to the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? Your heart can't take it sometime when you walk in and hear...
They're all in the same circle, so we gonna all have the
Bruh,
same girl.
until you come in there and hear her do something she ain't do for you.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Now, I ain't never heard that sound before. Like,
happened.
well, that's, you know what I mean? You come in there and it's like used to hearing that. But you come in here and say, you like, wait, hold on. I don't care. Like, you gonna feel a kind of way. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what it is. You hear that sound that she ain't never make for you, you gonna be at the corner, but you gonna be hurt.
Doing for him. How many?
Well, no, supposedly she was like, she was upset with Young Money. Talking about, that's how you doing, whatever. And that, hey, I'm gonna get you
Young
to
Miami.
forget about Young Miami. Thank you. I'm gonna get you to forget about her because guess what? I'm gonna let you watch me do it. I'm gonna set up the freak off, and I'm gonna bring two buddies up in there. Let's watch what the troll, the ultimate troll. Let's watch the ultimate troll. Look at the ultimate troll, man. This dude 50, bruh. Man, it's crazy right now.
It's a rare condition this day and age to demand a freak off with so much rage. A stranger's addiction you'll never find. Some people say that he's losing his mind.
AI got to.
AI
Well, then there must be
dangerous.
some magic juice inside.
Oh, I ain't noticed the car burning up in the backdrop.
It's a chocolate thing. Mail posted on everything.
It's Earth.
It's the biggest
Oh, man. The ultimate troll, bro. The ultimate troll, man.
Oh, wow.
See, that's crazy. If I'm sitting there fighting for my life right now, and I got somebody that's sitting there bringing stuff to the government. Hey, man, check this out. Check this out. I got this.
The first one
Man.
he put a video out of Puff talking about Trump. Bad about Trump.
Sideways.
That's the first one he put out last week. It's like that's right there. It's like, what are you doing,
And
bro?
then the press come right to Trump and say, "Hey, man, you gonna give Puffy a pardon?" And he's like,
That's my man.
"Well, you know, it depends, man. I've heard some things that he's like, I heard some things. I heard some things. Fairness got to be up in there. But I did hear he was saying some stuff about me, some not so nice things. But I don't know.
The Puff got him on tape with black
Man,
girls.
your boy, hey, sometimes like we call him, our president is the Ric Flair of this thing right now. Because Ric Flair started off as a bad wrestler, but by the time he ended, everybody was on board. Like everybody is like, hey man, I can't. It's something about this guy. It's something about this guy.
Think about it. He went from Jesse the Body to Ric Flair.
No, he wasn't just about it.
No, Jesse the Body is the one who put him in the game.
Yeah, Jesse the Body. That's right. Remember when Jesse the Body,
politician.
correct? When Jesse the Body Ventura won the governor of Minnesota, right? This was in the early '90s. Trump went to pay a visit to Jesse the Body, saying, met with him, and he came from that because Jesse ran as a third party candidate and won in Minnesota. And Trump said, you know what, I can't really see myself winning president under a third party because at that time he was a registered Democrat.
Yeah.
He was like, I can't see myself winning and as a third party. Looked at Ross Perot, looked at some other folks. He was like, you got to do the two-party system. And he said it. He's like, I probably would do Republican because, as I say, the lines are shorter and the money's longer. Right?
Yeah,
the lines are shorter.
and easiest to influence. He said that.
The line, right? That's what he's. You know what I'm saying? The lines are shorter and the money's longer. If you come in there and you get, they used each other. They was like those sea creatures. Like where they coexist. They use each other.
Right.
So the folks, all the lawyers are complicit in it because what did the lawyers do? The lawyers from the Federalist Society was like, man, we trying to, overturn Roe v. Wade. We trying to, do all this stuff. We trying to strengthen the court. And this goes all the way back to the Bush years when Bush, with the Patriot Act and start eliminating those acts where you could spy on people and start doing all those other things. And they used the Hispanic Attorney General at that time out of Texas to basically start advocating for a more strong, powerful executive. And then you see, a lot of the Supreme Court justices were the lawyers who were advocating for a stronger executive, right? So they put them all in place. So they was like, hey, man, we'll use this guy because they looking at him like he's not smart as us. We got all this stuff on him, not knowing that Trump is like, who's zooming who? Y'all think y'all doing me? Think I'm doing y'all.
Right.
So they came in on the first term and he was like, most genius thing I think he did, Brother Arrington, was when he said, you know what? All these folks come in here and say stuff, but I'm going to tell you this way. If I am elected president, I'm going to choose these judges as recommended by the Federalist Society. Now what? When he did that, I was like, ooh, wow.
Straight policy.
That was
Straight
like,
policy.
wow.
That was chess move
Wow.
right there.
That was a super chess move. Then you come in and you tell evangelicals, Roe v. Wade, y'all been trying to rock with that 50 years. If we get these justices changed, we're gonna end that. We're gonna take it to the states. Boom. You know, you got those
That's what they
people.
want
You
here.
start getting these coalitions of people who was going with their own interests. You know, because the evangelical, I'm a PK, so I'm thinking in the beginning, it's like, oh, this guy's been divorced 3 times. He got, you know, X number of baby mamas. He got this, he got that. He's, you know, he don't even know the scripture. He talking about, you know, 2 Corinthians, right? Like, man, anybody that's been to church on Easter or watch night know it's 1st or 2nd Corinthians, right? He talking about, my favorite man never asked for forgiveness. Talking about, no, you know, I never asked for forgiveness, which is the foundation of Christianity. We all have sinned. There's only been one perfect person. This man, like, man, I ain't never have to ask for forgiveness. They gave him a pass for all of that, but didn't give Obama a pass for wearing a tan suit. They didn't give this man a pass for wearing a tan suit, bruh.
Because that Supreme Court was more important to them and their policy, you know?
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, so Lenny Moore, man, how does all this fit into your world, man? I know you go from, you know, University of Miami, national champion, to, you know, king of strip clubs, and now you pushing some pussy. How does that work out?
Well, the politics issues it is what it is. It's going to take care of itself to a certain extent. But I have my opinion on it. Trust me. But my world's, I live every day as if it's my last, bro.
And what they say is those who have and those who don't. So for those who have, I think he's basically saying they're gonna be all right.
No, not necessarily, because he's affecting everybody's pocketbook to a certain extent. Because I got some things I want to get done, and the tariffs are screwing it up big time. So when you
That's
start
temporary.
talking about, well, it's not temporary for some of us because he put a lot of people out of business already.
Already, no, I agree.
Already
with you.
on
I
those
agree with
tariffs.
you. Yeah, what he did was for folks like you who operate, you know, I say in the margins or operate in the shadows, or folks like Brother Arrington and I who sometimes look at what some would consider loopholes, which is simply reading the laws. Like somebody was asking me about taxes the other day, and I was like, well, you know, they was like, I just can't get help with that. I said, nobody's going to help you, because if they tell you these answers, they're not going to make the money anymore. They're not going to tell you. But what you can do is, what did they say? If you want to hide something from a black man, what? Put it in a book. Put it in a book. I said, yo, get the tax code. Read the tax code, and you'll see that the tax code is basically, if you like playing Monopoly, if you like playing any game, read it and see what it says. Guess what? Sometimes, and it's not all the time. That's why it's like it's not criminal. It's like what you can draft and what gets passed. You can go in there 1 year, you know, private jets. You can write it all off. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can go and get you a Phantom, a Maybach, lease it, and write it all off. Sometimes you can't. It depends on what's in that book. And if you go get the tax code and look at it and go in there, you'll see it's hiding in plain sight, bruh. But who wants to do it? Like our lady Margie Taylor Greene. She comes back and says, you know, oh, I didn't read pages 279 to 299 of the bill. I didn't get to that. So they're going to have to change that because it says that AI is unregulated for 10 years. Oh, no. AI is going to be we have no idea what AI is going to be in 10 years. No, we got to regulate. I'm a no now after she already voted for it. But I salute her for that. I salute her for that, because how many people are going to come out there and say, you know what, I missed that. I skipped it, you know, or whatever. But nobody can come out. If she's not on your team, then whatever. It's like, oh, that's just screw her. But it's in plain sight. The tax code is in plain sight.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, hey, it makes sense to invest in rehab properties. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, it's hiding in plain sight. So, you know, and my point, Brother Moore, is that if you're not with his folks, like Florida, for instance, with the cannabis laws in Florida, like when it first came out, when it first passed, right, when it became medicinal, right, they only gave out 25 licenses in the whole state.
You know what you have to
Right.
qualify to get those licenses with?
Correct.
You had to have thousands of acres, which means that goes back generations.
And you had to have, like you said,
For
going
30
back
years,
generations,
you had to
have already
own the
been
30 years.
in the industry. You had to have already been in the industry. You had to already have owned the land. So folks was like, oh, we're going to run to Florida and get it. Oh, you think? The same thing they did with lawyers. You know, they wanted to keep all the New York lawyers out of the state of Florida, you know, so they didn't make it where, you know, you could automatically be admitted to the bar. They're like, nah, you gotta take it over again. You gotta take the Florida bar if you're trying to come here, because they didn't just want folks coming here to do it. So with the whole cannabis thing, are you down with the 25? You know, and then folks finally said, hey man, the black and brown people who've been going to prison for weed for all these years, y'all leaving them out the game. So they had to give up some more, you know, a few more licenses, as opposed to doing it like Illinois. In Illinois, you know, they basically saying like, if you have a conviction for cannabis, whatever, we're going to prioritize giving you the license.
Right.
That was a good move.
You know, that's right.
Because otherwise it's discriminatory. By making it put all that land, they make it act like they're not being discriminatory. But like you say, the only people that have all that land is
Your forefather, your grandfather, and great grandfather already owned it.
thousands of acres for thousands.
Oh, I had investment groups who wanted to put together, you know, some millions and buy. No, then they wanted to give you want to put up a $5 million bond, a $30 million bond, and you had to have so much money in cash. You had to show where this money came from, which eliminated 99.99% of the black.
And it was done on purpose.
Of course it was.
It was done on purpose. It was done on purpose. So I definitely want you to see this story right here, man. This is a PSA, man. This was something that I discovered, and I was like, wow, it's crazy. So, you know, we always hear about the Jews and, you know, the Holocaust and whatnot. But check this story out, man. We talk about, you know, not knowing your history and being bound to repeat it when you don't know it.
Who didn't know this? Beginning in the 1930s, hundreds of children born from white moms and black dads were tracked down by police, forcibly sterilized, and later unwillingly became the subjects of medical experiments. Others simply vanished. And in 2022, a well-known black father with 4 children by a white woman named Kim defends the man who secretly ordered these abuses, saying he, quote, sees good things in him. Between 1918 and 1933, after World War I and before Nazi rule, Western Germany was occupied by victorious Allied troops, which included black soldiers from French colonies such as Senegal. Black Americans also immigrated to Germany during this time to enjoy freedoms not available to them in the States, such as freely eating at restaurants, staying in hotels, and going to the theater. Romantic relationships soon formed between blacks and whites, but Germany wasn't having. In an effort to thwart these relationships, they introduced racist fake news depicting blacks as savages, murderers, and rapists who carried STDs and other communicable illnesses. The children of black soldiers and white German women were called Rhineland bastards, and their mothers considered whores a white disgrace. As early as 1923, government authorities began registering Afro-German kids along with their photographs and measurements. In 1937, upon Hitler's orders, the Gestapo pulled Afro-German kids from school, stole them from the streets, and bundled them into vans to take them to medical facilities to be sterilized. Some 437 cases were documented, while the number of unreported cases was closer to 800. Not gonna lie, U.S. history and Nazi Germany low-key feel like we're cousins. I mean, it could just be me, but am I the only one who didn't know this? Beginning in the 1930s.
All right. So, Teddy, what say you, sir? Because, you know, I had you in mind when I pulled that, bro.
You know, I'll take it to the Atlanta murders. There's been a lot of different situations where they're doing experiments, and even kids right now, sex trafficking. All the kids that are disappearing now, that's what they're doing. They're doing
Organ
harvesting their organs.
Organ harvest.
Everything. You know, this is because it's a business. Once you make $1 billion or something, it don't make a difference. It's gonna happen. You know, and from there.
I to your point, I'm thinking about Alonzo Mourning. Remember when Alonzo Mourning needed that, you know, he needed that kidney, and you know, it was talking about the lines and what you got to do and all.
You got money, you go to the top of the line.
All of a sudden, buddy,
He's back.
He's back. He's
Look
back.
at Magic. He's got HIV, and he still has HIV, and never went to AIDS.
Hey.
He got that money.
Hey, so bruh, since you on that, man, we gotta talk a little bit about these playoffs, man. Like OKC, Indiana, they doing their thing right now, doing their thing. Your boy SGA, smooth boy.
Yeah, but he's tired. Like Indiana is running them to death. Like last night, third quarter, he
was touching.
Sucking
He
weight,
was
you
pulling
know
his
what I'm saying?
pants, holding his pants. You know, giving that look. You know, giving that look where you just like, hey, you know what I mean?
And like Halliburton, I tell y'all right now, it's all about Halliburton. Halliburton is going to be the next star that they're bigging up. You know what I mean? So that's why like they break him down and then they pick him up. They break him down. Then as soon as he wins, it's Halliburton. It's Halliburton.
Your man last night though, who came off the bench, he did the work. He did the work. Halliburton was all right. He almost had a triple-double. I think he was like 22, 11, and 9. Like, he almost had a triple-double, but his baskets, like, I didn't see a lot of hard baskets. Buddy was down there battling. Buddy was down there fighting, and he was being physical. In the finals, I don't care what it is, bro, you're going to have to knock some heads.
Yeah, you got to go all out.
You got to knock some heads. And the refs, you know what I mean? Like, you get to the point, folks throwing their hands up in the air, waiting on the foul. It's like, you know what I mean? You hear the refs, in my mind, calling you a PAN. You know what I mean? Like, you hear that. You hear
Well, see,
it.
they don't want to be the determining factor in the game. It's too much on the line.
That's too, man. Come on, bro. Get out there and do your thing, man. They ain't call it. They ain't call it. Now go. They ain't call it. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? So I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the hockey. I'm enjoying the hockey, even though, man. Oh my god, bro. I can't. I had the under. I had the under 6.5. I had under 6.5 2 games ago, where they scored 5 in the first period. They scored 5 goals in the first period. They ended up with 9 goals, bro. I'm sitting there looking sick.
It just got so bad they just started fighting.
Right. Well, that was the last game. So then I try to come back. I try to come back in the last game and say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with Carolina getting a goal and a half, and they lost like 5-1. I'm like, man, bro. So I think I'm just gonna be a fan tonight. It's gonna be a fan tonight, bro, because you know the fight should mean something. That should mean something. Like Panthers and it's home. You know, do you just come out and just beat them down, or is Carolina gonna be like, man, they beat us up? At least we gonna win the fight. Like, I think I can't watch the game. I can't watch the playoffs without having something on it. I just don't feel right. You know what I mean? Gotta have
naked. What? I ain't got nothing on the game when I'm watching it, bro.
Gotta have something.
Like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it.